Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Friday wrap up for April 17th, 2026 on Streamlined Solopreneur. This is a short episode where I talk about three things: what's on my mind this week, recommended reading, and recommended media. This show is to help you automate your business so you can take time off worry-free, and hopefully this curation will help you think more about your systems. I'm your host, Joe Casabona, and here's what's on my mind this week. The first thing is something that my friend Bianca and I lovingly call AI brain. I'm writing a much longer piece on this, but I've been trying out Claude Code Claude Max, Claude Cowork, just a bigger plan for Claude. And I've been thinking about this because in the middle of the week, I got hit with this weird brain fog that felt familiar, like I had experienced it before. And in fact, I had experienced it before in June and July of 2025, where I realized that I was relying on AI for too much. Now, I recognized the warning signs very early, but it caught me differently this time because I wasn't using it to create content or even come up with episode ideas. I was using it to crunch a bunch of data and then help me draw conclusions, but I still felt like I had spent a lot of the last week talking to a robot and treating it like a person, which is something I try very hard not to do. So this is something that's on my mind. Again, I'm working on a bigger piece for this, where I mention the three signs that you might be getting AI brain and how to prevent it. And I'll just share the three signs with you because those are the things that I've worked out. The first is that you can't think about something for more than 5 minutes before running to an LLM for advice. And this is the thing that made me realize it, is I was sitting there kind of stuck between multiple tasks. I was up in the dining room, which is just a terrible place for me to work because it's right next to the playroom, and it's between the playroom and the living room. And so there's just a lot going on. And it's very hard to focus. And instead of deciding I was going to move, I was like, oh, I'll just ask AI. And then I thought, wait, I spent no time thinking about this. So if you can't think about something for more than 5 minutes before running to an LLM, that's the first and most significant sign, I think. The second is that you're not talking to the people who matter, people being the emphasis here. If you are deciding not to talk to potential customers, clients, or people in your audience, and instead just asking AI what it thinks about the avatar it has for your customers, clients, and audience, you probably have AI brain. And if you have no skin in the game, and this was the second thing that I noticed from this week is, I asked it to crunch a bunch of data and then look at a bunch of client calls and come up with common objections. And I, of course, compared that against my own anecdotal evidence. And I thought, all right, well, help me come up with a content strategy. Don't think of the actual content titles, just kind of like the pillars for the content. And then as I'm sitting down to plan my podcast, I thought, I don't care about this plan. I had no skin in the game because I didn't spend appreciable time thinking about it. And so I was able to course correct a lot quickly than I was able to in summer 2025. But it's something that requires, to quote Mad-Eye Moody, constant vigilance, I think. Something that you need to think about, because what Claude Max, especially, like what AI can do, what large language models can do with bigger context windows truly seems like magic sometimes until it doesn't. And it might be a while before it feels like it doesn't, and that thing snaps you out of it. And so I think that you want to, I'm giving you a problem without a solution right now, because the solution is basically just an outline, but I'll talk about it more on this show. How to prevent AI brain, or at least the things that I'm doing to prevent AI brain. The second thing that is on my mind is getting good sleep. I've been getting bad sleep this week. I have been inexplicably, I shouldn't say inexplicably, I've been eating kind of like garbage too close to bedtime. And I've been waking up somewhere between 2:30 and 4 every morning. And it hasn't been great. Last night, I ate reasonably, a reasonable amount of time before bed. And I slept all the way until 4:50, which, I mean, I usually wake up at 5 anyway. And so I've just been thinking about maybe part of the reason where I felt AI brain, or where I felt the need to lean on Claude more than I would have otherwise, is because of the brain fog from not getting very good sleep. And that's also something to think about. Like, check in with yourself and try to get good sleep. You know, I'm not a sleep expert or sleep doctor. I am a 40-year-old man, and as somebody who's now in his midlife, and someone who experienced a lot of sleep deprivation with 3 small kids, I know the importance of sleep. My brother said that one thing he was kind of jealous of me about is the fact that for a long time I did not need a lot of sleep to function well. And while that is true, right, I can usually get away with a day of not great sleep, or I can one day after not having good sleep. I do see the difference between getting good sleep and getting bad sleep. And you're definitely at your best when you get good sleep. So just something that's on my mind. A super secret bonus third thing that I don't have in my outline here, but that I've been thinking about a lot, is has to do with my latest LinkedIn post, which I will link in the show notes and the description. And that is just like being on our phones too much. I went to a coffee shop this morning, and literally everybody in front of me was staring down at their phone with the same face. And I was just looking around to make eye contact with another human being, and I didn't. And this is coming off of the heels of me writing a pretty, I feel, important piece for the Home and School Association, which is I'm president of my kids' Home and School Association, and I talk about the importance of technology and waiting until our kids are 14 to give them smartphones. And this is something I feel increasingly strongly about. My year of digital detox is going well, maybe too well. Definitely not too well, but it's just something I'm constantly thinking about. And it's a little bit of a half-baked idea, but it's something I wanted to bring up here. Okay. So, recommended reading and media. Recommended reading is an article from my friend Mike Schmitz called How Claude Helped Me Make the Videos I Want to Make. And he goes through this process about how he has started a new YouTube channel about basically book reviews. He has the Bookworm podcast, which is really good. And he was stuck because he had a certain quality in his mind for these videos, and scripting them seemed like something he'd be able to, like something he wouldn't be able to do consistently. And so he asked himself, I'm quoting the article here, could I expedite the process by hiring Claude as a research assistant and scriptwriter? And he says the answer is a resounding yes. And now he's personally walked me through this system because we're in a mastermind together. And I am definitely the town crier for AI and overuse of AI in this mastermind group. I would say I'm easily the most skeptical person. I don't know if that's true. But I feel like I am, or I feel like I'm at least the most vocally skeptical about it. But he walked me through this whole process, and it was really interesting. He takes really, really in-depth notes with like an emoji system and things like that. And he quote unquote trained Claude on this. He has a video script template. And so he feeds all of this into a Claude skill that pulls in all of his personal notes, pulls in the mind map, grabs his rating for the book, pulls in the bookworm episode, which is a full transcript to get his thoughts on the book, interprets his emoji coding system, and puts it together. And so this is really interesting because this is a riff on the question I get a lot, which is, if I train AI on everything I've ever written, doesn't it make something that sounds like me? And I think what's really important here is that Claude is writing the video script, quote unquote, which I question, but I also watched Mike's video and it felt very natural. So I don't know what the delta is between the thing that Claude outputs and then the thing that he modifies. But the AI is also not the delivery mechanism. So he takes this script, probably fixes it up. The script is heavily influenced on a very narrow topic, I should say, right? He's not saying, come up with a book review for me. He's saying, here is a lot of assets about a book I've read. Now put together a script in this template for me. And then he delivers it. And so I think that this is I'm going to say an interesting approach. It's not for me, I don't think. But, he records the video and then he ships it off to an editor who edits it. And so his bottom line is Claude helps him make videos he wouldn't otherwise be able to make. So I'm going to say this is not a process for me, but I think it's an interesting process. And I don't want to have like some monoculture on this podcast. I want to present other points of view. Even if I do present mine the most because it's my show. So I think this is really interesting. I'll have a link to this and everything in the show notes. And then recommended media. I was going to recommend the Scrubs revival, which so we'll call it season 10 of Scrubs. One of my favorite show, maybe my favorite show of all time, usurping Friends for that spot. And I thought that the 9-episode revival was fantastic. And so I love that. I love that show. I hope it comes back for season 2. They opened up a lot of threads. And so I'd imagine they're pretty confident it's going to come back for a season 2, but I don't think it's been officially renewed as of the time of this recording. So that was my original media recommendation until I watched a video from More Perfect Union called Polymarket Asked to Work With Us. We exposed their scam instead. It's a 20-minute video that I think I have no opinions on the outlet More Perfect Union. I have not consumed a lot of their content, but I certainly liked this. And so I have been suspicious of things like this, Polymarket, and the other one they mentioned, I don't think it's called Kashi. But whatever, it's Kalshi. Close, really close. Kalshi. About, democratizing financing and really just a bunch of scams, right? Anybody who fights this hard to say they're not a scam almost certainly is a scam. This is based, and it's gambling, and they go out of their way really hard to say it's not gambling. And I just think it's a very well done video that looks at, that if you've never heard of Polymarkets, or in sports, this is called prop betting, and prop betting is bad, really bad, really bad. Death threats to players, bad, right? Players doing the thing that Pete Rose has long been accused of, or like the Black Sox scandal of 1919 on a much more granular level. So it's just like a combination of a really low barrier way to gamble and a really easy way to do insider trading if you're the insider. So I thought that was a really good video. I think that if you don't know anything about Polymarket, which is there are these prediction markets, and so you can bet on like how many days this ceasefire will be, or how many pitches Max Fried will throw in his next outing, or like will Trevor Noah say potato? That's like right from the video. Will Trevor Noah say the word potato when he hosts whatever he's hosting? And so like a lot of knowable things for the right people. So I think it's really good. I would strongly recommend it. So that's my media recommendation. So that's what's on my mind. Some recommended reading and some recommended media. That's it for this episode of the Friday wrap up at Streamlined Solopreneur. If you have thoughts or a story, you can send it over at streamlinedfeedback.com. If you want to think more about your systems as a solopreneur, maybe you're interested in trying something like Mike mentioned here, then you can take a closer look at everything you do. And I have a process for how to do that over at streamlined.fm/sweep. That's my solopreneur sweep. It's a free process. It's like a 30-minute audit of your business. So I would check it out. Maybe ask yourself those questions. Again, that's over at streamlined.fm/sweep. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, I hope you find some space in your weekend.